Tonight, an Out Front exclusive. J.D. Vance's cousin, my guest, and a former U.S. Marine standing up to the vice president over his stance on Ukraine. Nate Vance is a Texas native. He fought on the front lines in Ukraine for nearly 3 years as part of the elite Da Vinci Wolves Battalion, seeing some of the war's bloodiest, most horrific battles all the way from 2022 until just this January. This video shows him in a trench as Russian artillery rounds were raining down on him and his battalion. These images show the two cousins back in the day vacationing together. Through the years, Nate and JD share grandparents. JD's mother and Nate's father are siblings. And Nate Vance is out front now. Nate, I really appreciate your talking, and I want to get to exactly why you're speaking out, because I know you do so after careful consideration. So, Nate, I know you call yourself a Republican-leaning independent. I know you've been supportive at times of the Trump administration. But on this issue of Ukraine, where you have put so much of your life over these past few years, you think your cousin is misguided. How come?
Excuse me. Well, I think my experience in Ukraine has given me a unique perspective that most Americans don't have. There are certainly cultural differences both between the Ukrainians and Americans and the Russians. And I think if you try to deal with Russia through an American lens, it will come back to bite you. They don't necessarily think like we think. And I'm talking about their political class. I've personally witnessed them shooting their own troops on enough occasions that it wasn't just an isolated incident. It's happened quite a bit, enough to the point where you could consider it to be policy if troops are retreating. So these people, as a policy, will eat their own. So they will not hesitate to eat an American president or American vice president. They don't care what we think. They're not our allies, and they never will be, not at least for a generation.
I know that you've tried to reach out to your cousin since he took office, but haven't been successful. I mean, what were you planning to say to him? I mean, what do you want to say to him now in this moment?
Well, look, I mean, there's more than one reason why you could make the argument for supporting Ukraine. There's the, kind of emotional argument, the human element argument part of it, which, fine, if that's the argument you want to make in order to support Ukraine, then I support that. There's also the element of how it will affect the United States long term, right? So if you're just more transactional in nature and you are concerned, what is the benefit for the United States? I don't think there's any scenario where like if this war pauses and sanctions are lifted, Russia has spent the last 3 years kind of beefing up their military-industrial complex, and if you lift those sanctions, you're going to see a massive influx of funds into that military-industrial complex. And they're going to build a war machine out of it, right? That's what they're going to do. And the concept of an imperialistic, aggressive, modernized military Russia who has learned their lessons about modern combat is problematic for our future. And if the Russians are given significant concessions in this ceasefire, they will spin that as a victory of sorts. But their view is they're not done. So to them, it's just a chance to regroup, build up and modernize, and they'll come back. And when they do come back, they'll be more of a problem than they are now. Right now, they're at the weakest they will ever be. As soon as the ceasefire starts, they will immediately start to get stronger and continue to get stronger every day thereafter. So the way this ends is important.
In that context, obviously, I think I'm thinking of the moment when your cousin, Vice President Vance, publicly reprimanded Ukraine's president, right? It's an unforgettable moment in the Oval Office when your cousin's sitting on the couch and Zelensky is next to Trump sitting in those chairs. Let me just play it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
J.D. Vance was seen as widely seen as the instigator, in that moment, right? When he got it, you should show appreciation, and he was angry.
Yeah.
You obviously have known him his whole life. Did it surprise you, the way he acted in that moment?
I was surprised. I think what surprised me the most was regardless of the situation, there's a certain level of decorum that should be reached. And, you know, I'm not naive enough to think that, you know, national leaders don't debate behind closed doors. But when you do that and you publicly, you know, kind of ridicule someone in public, that they have to almost defend themselves. So it was really disappointing to see it for me. I disagreed with that tact.
Now,
there's a much more diplomatic way to say, wait, I think we're getting off on the wrong foot here. Maybe we can kind of, you know, readdress what our positions are and things like that. There's much better ways to handle that.
I know, Nate, that you and Vice President Vance have not spoken about this issue, right, since you've come back. But I know you've reached out to him. I'm curious. You did share some photos of the two of you growing up at his grandmother's house. He's in the Superman shirt there on the tractor. Then JD spent time with your family in California. And, you know, so these are all the times you spent together. And what was he like then? And how do you feel now that, I guess, I don't know how to put it, he's not returning your call on this issue that you know so much about?
Well, I can't, in all fairness to JD, say that he received that message and then ignored it. I can't do that because I don't know that he got it. But I did reach out. But regardless of whether or not I reached out or not, I mean, he definitely knew I was there and at no point tried to make contact, and there were ways to do that. So when, you know, if a wise person, if they're going to make a decision, tries to find every available piece of information to kind of come to a conclusion about something, and this is such a dramatic issue, or such a serious issue that, you know, why not seek out every piece of information? He certainly doesn't have to take my advice, but I do find it a little strange that he never sought the advice in the first place.
Well, Nate, we really appreciate your taking the time. Again, as I said to everybody, I know you did this after careful consideration, but we appreciate it and thank you.
No, I appreciate it too. Thank you.